All right, I'm recording.
Yay, Qri Dev call, September
9/16, yeah.
16th. Cool. Yeah, so we're just talking about query refs and potentially overwritten refs. So if what I suspect might have happened is you ran a transform of some kind. Most of our transformation and file system integration stuff is like, we haven't even really gotten there yet.
That's what I was guessing, since it didn't even show up in the directory.
Yeah, and so like the stuff that we're really focused on with file system integration right now is meta. We have actually gone so far as to elevate the notion of schema out of structure for file system integrations, just so that people can have a file called schema and they're not confused by that. So meta, schema, and body, and it's really the only ones that we focus on right now for file system integration. We will be rapidly bringing the transform stuff forward, but for now, what can happen sometimes is you can get into this sort of dissociative state where this data set is no longer linked, and that dissociative state comes from that comes from running a transform or doing something on sort of the old query code paths that then overwrites the local, like, so query has to keep a set of references inside of the repository that would say, hey, this is where it is in your file system to crosstalk. So we know when we run query status somewhere else where to look in your file system, right? Which is, but so that's why you're seeing is not linked often, is the like query.ref file is either there or not there, or it is basically that link has been broken in some way.
Does that also mean I can't have two checkouts
of the same thing?
Yeah. You
can. Right now, the planned theory behind that, the behavior will be to whichever one you use last will be the thing that it refers to. So basically, you can effectively map many folders to one query repo. It's definitely something we consider like advanced, but it's doable. We thought about it in the initial design phase and decided that just landing like a file system integration one-to-one was going to be hard enough, and then we would work on doing multiple checkouts, because I think there are a number of situations where that would be very helpful. But there is a plumbing command to get out of the state that you're in. Query, I'm going to type it into the chat, but it's query FSI link, and then you have to do me/data or peer name /dataset, and then either the current working directory, which defaults to the dot. So this command that I just typed in, if you punch that in from a folder that you know is a linked data set, it will create that link again and restore you to sort of basically clean that up. That plumbing command is intentionally a plumbing command. We don't expect users to have to type this unless they get into a weird state. As much as there's link, there's also unlink, so you can manipulate your FSI link as you need. You can also remove stuff now and provide a -- unlink flag, which will destroy the link, and then you can provide a files flag to unlink to remove as well, which will delete your local files. So we've been working on that side of things a little bit, but the actual semantics of making sure that links are intact and working properly are going to need some more tests and going to need a bunch of cleanup. But we've written it in a way such that file system linking doesn't, if it breaks, it's not the end of the world, and it's not something we're too worried about. It's just kind of irritating. And so irritating is better than completely broken. But yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'd love to try and break something today, if that's okay. If we can, this definitely isn't going to work, but we're like, I know this isn't going to work because I know there are aspects of it that won't, but I'm hoping to see a graceful failure, as it were. And so, Kevin, do you mind playing along at home? We've got a copy of Qri Desktop that I'd love others to sort of try, if that's okay.
How should I? Or let me just, oh, okay.
So if you go to that link and download that DMG, this is where we all trust each other, because you're just downloading stuff that some on the internet is telling you to download. But yeah, basically you guys have, for us, where this is really useful is both of you have either run query in the past or you have not run query in the past, and so you have like local repositories of data. And so I just want to see what happens when you go through our onboarding flow with this. And then I want to see if we can't add the Deer Park water monitoring data set or air quality monitoring data set that I just published from Qri Cloud. And so once you guys get that downloaded, I'd love to just know what state you get to. And I will share a screen to sort of show you where I'm at personally, if that makes sense.
The icon is much brighter.
Good thing, bad thing?
I just noticed when they're sitting next to each other.
It's very
It
different.
almost looks like one's like deactivated.
Yeah, totally.
Old query is all dim and boring.
Rico really, and actually the whole team, I'm not going to pin this on Rico. Everyone was like, we should switch to the flat thing. And you know that moment where like everybody has been wanting you to say something for a while and they're just like, don't want to admit to it. It's like, hey, we should switch the icon to that flat thing. And like Rico was immediately like, yeah, let's do that like right now. But yeah, this is what I'm seeing right now, just to desktop. Desktop 2. Everyone see this. Let's get you some data sets. Does anyone manage to get to this screen?
I'm still trying to remember my password.
Yours will probably be new. We've connected, unless you've signed in before, Rob. We've got a new database hooked up in the back end. So you might be able to go through the sign up flow.
Okay.
So I don't know if you ever.
It's not going to collide with my existing username.
No, we're doing a whole bunch of legwork in the background to make sure that that's handled. Part of that is associating with your key, and so checking to make sure that the key that you provide us matches a handle that we know about. So I should probably, wish I could just like log out. That would be cool. But, Kevin, how you doing? Were you able to download this?
I have it installed in my applications folder, and it came up, and it's saying starting Qri Desktop right now.
It's just spinning.
I just turned. Yeah, I just opened it. Error connecting to query. The query backend isn't responding.
Dang. Okay. So that's the one we got to fix.
Invalid character D looking for the beginning of value.
Oh, okay, Rob, you got to run something special. You're different. This is why. Thank you for joining the dev call. I hope we're okay for a hands-on session. Rob, I'm going to shoot you a command line command to run. So this is actually. Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I was like, I think my whole query setup is all a mess because like I had downloaded a command line a long time ago, and then I did the front end thing, and like it's a mess. And I haven't looked at it in a long time, so it's like really not updated and whatnot. So.
Okay. That's interesting. So Rob, I need you to run this query config set registry.location. And so we're basically running two registries now. We left the old one up for compatibility reasons. And so this one will re-register you. So you're basically, Rob, imagine you're talking to a whole new database. So you'll have to run through the sign up flow for this. Kevin, so if you're seeing error connecting to query backend, that's a very strange error.
Am I supposed to start like the service somehow, or like?
No, it should all just work. So maybe if you could try quitting and restarting. I don't know if that's going to help, but it might. The other thing, if you could open a web browser and just see if this is responding at all. Look, do you have IPFS Companion?
No.
Okay, you don't have any IPFS stuff installed? Any
no.
weirdo IPFS stuff? Okay, cool. If you could open a web browser to this URL.
Okay.
Kevin, this is fun. I'm talking to two people in chat. So if you set that config registry location and retry, you should be able to sign up with a different. You could claim your same handle, but you'll have to do sign up as if you're new. Okay, cool. And that just worked. Okay, cool. And then when you get to the screen on let's get some data sets, the data set I'd love to add is that one.
So Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I did not get the let's add some data sets screen, probably because it found my repo. So I just landed, like, it just picked a data set that I'm looking at.
Did everything explode, or is it still like modestly alive?
It seems fine. I'm just looking at this screen that's got like current data set, and it just, I think it just picked whatever the first one in the list would have been.
Awesome.
And then like a big link to file system button, just, the top bar, and then the screen that we've seen before.
Okay, we're in business. Cool. If you want to try adding, if you hit Command D, that'll bring up the add screen.
So how would I get there if I didn't magically know this keyboard shortcut?
Do you want to share screen? Why don't we all watch Rob click around? I think this is
Oh boy.
Sorry, Kevin. You totally lost the technology game today. So sad. But, Rob, are you cool sharing screen?
Let me find it in this stupid list of windows that I can share. Okay. Share.
Amazing. Amazing.
All right. Can you all see Qri Desktop?
Yeah. Sure hope
right.
so. I can. But that would be Zoom's problem if not. Cool. Yeah. So first and foremost, are you able to change data sets? I'm going to give you a mission. This is I'm just totally dropping you into like UX land and see if we can't figure this out.
Want to autocomplete or search or something there?
Where I guess I can't see your mouse, so I don't know what you're clicking.
Oh, can you see the dialog at least?
No.
I've got the add dataset dialog.
Do you?
Okay.
Oh.
Let us try sharing a different way.
That's very strange.
That's very odd.
Very odd. Yeah.
We could see your desktop, but not.
Is that an HTML dialog element thing?
Can you see it now?
There it goes. Yeah.
Okay. It didn't like me sharing an Electron window, I guess. So I'm just sharing the whole desktop.
Fascinating.
Odd.
But it appears to be hanging.
Yeah, it's thinking. Damn, I think I might have built this with too old a version of the backend. This would be my fault.
If I have a current backend running, will it connect to it?
Oh, are you running Connect in the backend?
I'm not, but I can.
Okay, you can. If you pull master and run Connect, that would be delightful.
All right, I just built master this morning. So do I need to quit the app?
Yes, you will.
That's what I figured.
Because it'll be running an instance in the background.
I now have like many different query apps locally. So it's like I can run query dev or query or query alpha. Oh, it's a mess. It's a very confusing mess. Oh, come on.
There we go.
Really? All right.
Do you have a CLI? Like, can you open a terminal?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I have it open on a different desktop, which is why you're probably seeing it.
Oh yeah, look at
that. But I don't know why.
It's now not. Yeah, there you go.
Spotlight was not finding the actual app.
Might not be in the latest index.
Yeah, I guess right. Oh, that was a very big icon.
Yeah, that was.
So
cool.
Definitely, it's talking.
Yeah, awesome. So if you click your list, oh, nice. Okay.
Where'd the chat window go? So many windows. Don't know. So I want p5/tce, Texas.
Yes. Yeah.
Deer Park something.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, yeah. No, yeah. What is it? Deer Park. Let me.
I seem to have lost the chat dialogue somewhere.
You're almost there. You just need _auto_GC.
Thank you.
Auto GC.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well,
Okay.
uh,
So this, okay, so we got to the part that we knew might work. and so now this, I definitely expect this to not work. So I need you to just really quickly switch data sets, like pick any other data set from that list. And then try and pick again back to the other one, to the Texas TCP. Okay, so you have a history. Awesome. Is this interesting? This Qri Desktop version looks pretty old. You're still seeing the default profile photo.
I also noticed that he's seeing the word close instead of the font awesome X icon, which means this is probably old.
I think I accidentally built that in this recent, or I think that might still be there. Not totally sure. When's the last, yeah, never mind. This might be an old build of Qri Desktop. That's what might be what's going on. Dang. All right. Well, we got pretty far though. The upside here is that's now on. You can also take that same thing that you copy pasted, Rob, the like B5, and visit that on Query Cloud, just to sort of get a feel for what we've got here. But it's like, thank you.
so what am I doing with this?
If you open a browser window and do query.cloud, and then, yeah, you need a /yes. Yeah, you can also punch in HTTPS if you want to. We aren't doing HTTPS redirects yet, but let's be pedantic. Why not? So yeah, this is
My address bar sighing in relief.
But yeah, so just wanted to sort of, we made it about as far as this, because it's a dev call, I get to be sort of like very, very, very bleeding edge. So the thing that we're going to finish up this week is this add process and making this work properly. So we actually got to the spot that I thought you would get to. And this is really exciting from the sense of like, when you ran add, the blocks are now properly on your machine. It is properly pinned. And the thing that is hanging everything up is just we're needing to sync the histories of the data sets. So the TCEQ data set has a fairly long history of a series of automatic updates. And what we want to be able to do is see, you actually can't see the history from here because even Query Cloud doesn't properly have a method for developing histories. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we could like actually properly externalize a bunch of the work that we've been doing over the last little while onto your machine and like see some of this in action. But what we've managed to do is get this thing, so because you see that created data set, you actually are seeing the like origin commit pinned properly to your local machine, and you're backing up some data, which is fun. So you could actually, probably from another terminal, you can probably query ls. Oh, you've disconnected. Yeah, you can, it doesn't need to be connected.
What am I doing? I can query what?
If you type query list.
Okay.
Yeah, so you now see this, and you can actually see the hash and the data itself. So like you do know, yeah. Oh yeah, this is going to be your confusion because you're now running like super late.
Everything will break down.
Yeah, everything is. Oh, so that's query log, not query dev log. So if you do query dev.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh, there we go. Well,
yeah,
but it only has one commit.
Yeah, but you only see the one commit. You don't see the actual full history. And so this is the thing that we're going to ship this week, and that'll be the end of being able to. So the thing that's actually gotten quite complicated here is like, what we need to be able to do is you have to be able to run add, which gets a data set. And then I need to be able to, as the publisher of that data set, be able to publish subsequent versions. And then you need to be able to see that you don't have those versions. And so there's a whole series of steps there. But what's exciting about what we've just done with the add command on the front end and properly link that, and desktop and properly linking that down, is you can do stuff like query dev -dev get body of B5 Texas TCEQ. And that will properly fetch the body bytes. You actually have a proper version and you are properly posting an IPFS hash. If you were to do IPFS pin ls -recursive, you would get that QM UX UV on your local daemon. So add is doing the thing that we really needed to do, which is that's our brand new desync algorithm that is working properly to actually fetch to and from the registry. And we've got that with the 0.90 release of the backend. That will mean that we'll also be shipping the capacity to push back and forth or to push across to query nodes, just running as remotes. And so we've properly gotten rid of the need for you to be running a registry to be able to push data to and from someone else. And so now, Rob, you could say, cool, I'm willing to accept data sets from Kevin. Kevin, and I'm willing to accept data sets from Rob. And I can say, cool, I'm going to do query push Kevin, and that will be the name of a peer on the IPFS network. And if Kevin's node is online, it will just find him somewhere in the P2P network, and then we'll run all of the desync algorithm. Desync algorithm includes a number of checks along the way to make sure that, like, hey, is this Kevin? Do we trust Kevin? Is this data set that Kevin's trying to push to us, or is this actually this IPFS hash that Kevin's trying to push to us a size that we're willing to accept? So like, we're not going to accept anything over 100 megabytes. Okay, cool. And then all of that syncing will happen. And when that syncing finishes, it will check and say, hey, does the integrity of this hash actually match what we said we would get? And as long as everything checks out, and during that whole conversation, the only person essentially those blocks was Kevin's private key, you will accept that and pin it locally. And which will mean that you can actually we can now finally push to each other data set versions, as well as pushing to the registry, which I think will be a really nice like conversation starter for those of us in P2P land. But yeah, delightful of you to, oh, you're running this, thank you. This is amazing.
It's just so I'd see what happens.
Yeah. So now you can sign in, because yeah,
Can we have Rob try and make a new data set?
Ooh. Can we, Rob?
Hold on.
I hope we properly censored that field. Okay, good. Access denied. What?
Okay. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, cool.
So what happens now? Well, it's sort
Click
of
the created data set thing. I didn't get nothing. Maybe check over to the status. And then check data created history again.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So
All right,
some kind of state race condition there.
Yeah, yeah. But now you can actually see the data itself.
Maybe.
Yeah, give body a second.
Oh, okay.
Body's very fancy. Body takes us a second. When you're in dev mode, you'll find that the table display kind of chugs. Once it's compiled, it's much snappier. But it's definitely like a big thing, because if you scroll that list, I think you'll get loaded.
Is it showing the entirety of the data set?
No, it's paginated, and so like you should now be able to keep scrolling. I don't know how many rows are in this file, but it's big. Yeah, there you just got a response from your backend. I don't know why you're getting this double scrolling effect. That's really irritating, but that's okay. Yeah, if you look at the schema, I think I actually annotated the schema. I don't remember properly.
Might be useful if you could move most of that body processing onto like a thread or a worker. Yeah. So you're totally right. We've had a big conversation internally about what we're going to do with a table view. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm sure you haven't noticed. I'm glad that you haven't. But there is a ton of drama in the world of table rendering plugins.
Definitely never noticed that. Yeah, I'm glad. This is our burden to bear. But yeah, the table rendering plugin that we use went closed source a couple of versions back, and so we actually have to figure out what we're going to do with this. But cool. Yeah, so I guess if you have a CSV file lying around, Rob, I'd love to sort of see if we can survive the create dataset flow. Okay. You could literally cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, new line, 4, 5, 6. It would be
more fun if I had like a real CSV.
That would be really dope.
Close that.
Oh, hey, yeah. Here, Chris has got a link to a URL or URL to a CSV file for you if you want.
All right.
Kevin, what do you think? Are we getting anywhere close here?
Are you talking about for me?
Yeah, is this desktop format better, worse?
Oh yeah, it looks really cool. I thought you meant like getting it work for myself, because that's not gonna happen. I think like my back end query is like super. I would have to update like everything and like
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Yeah. So
I mean, if you want to get started, I would recommend deleting your .query folder. So if you do, I'm going to punch into the, basically if you if you click the Finder and then click go, and then in the very top, like, so you have the Apple menu, you have Finder, File, Edit, View, and there's Go. And then at the very bottom of that, there's Go to folder.
Too many things.
So what happens if I don't choose the directory path here?
Can't go. You cannot proceed. But I noticed you used the tooltip. Did you find it informative?
No, I mean, vaguely. It told me what I expected, which is that this is going to be kind of like a query checkout. I think if I were not me, I might be confused why I have to choose a place to put it because it's already on my disk. So this might not be clear enough explanation for the thing that query is doing. Also, the thing that I am not sure about is this going to check out into test or into a subdirectory in test?
Does the text at the bottom
help?
Oh, down here. Yeah. So that makes me feel a little bit better. It's super far dissociated from directory path, so I did not even read that or look at it yet. I didn't think of those two things as going together. Probably should have fixed this name.
I think you also killed your query backend in the process too.
Did I?
Maybe.
I did.
You want to check? Yeah. This is going to be this is a great test.
Oh, the one built into the app, I guess, is running now?
Yeah.
Or I started it somewhere else. Okay. Oh no, I've got it running in this tab. Keep good track of everything. Okay.
Oh. So it works, just slow. No, didn't work.
Have no.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I've seen this state before, but I'm not sure exactly where.
Oh, I'm looking at the other data sets.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it says you're on the new data set, but can you just switch data sets and then come back to that data set?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
There you go.
Okay. So at this point, have I like committed? I guess not.
No, so both of the components that are active right now are showing up as new. So you're ready to make your first commit, but like they're showing up as green because they're basically going to be additions to to the data set once you commit them.
All right, I don't get to see any of that though.
You should. It should be polling for changes. Did you save?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's no good. Yeah, it's supposed to show up. Can you just hit Command R to reload?
Okay.
Yeah, you're using an older version, and I don't know. It's from sometime last week, but I'm not sure exactly when. So I think the polling.
This is from master.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then that's not
So
good.
I just built from master.
Then I have no excuse.
Yeah, because we added that sweet modal thing that says you're ready to make your first commit. That's
You're
good.
right. That was pretty late last week.
It could be, well, no, and I'm running also the query connect server directly, separate from the Electron app. So yeah, it should be latest of everything, master branch of everything.
We have a code word in that for the office. It's called master. I don't know if anyone's a Metallica fan, but that's what we often yell.
All right, so home URL. Oh, I should fill that in. Look at that.
Good metadata citizen.
And description. Oh, what's significant? Anyway, put back here. So I'm curious whether that will show up when I commit.
I'm working on your live metadata editor as we speak, so you can edit it right from the app instead of having to go to your text editor.
Okay, so it did commit it. It just wasn't reflecting it in the UI.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at the refresh cycle. There's like a whole internal polling thing, but we'll have a look. Anything jumping out at you, Rob?
I mean, if I knew this data set better, I might have thoughts about what things should be. Although clearly there's like an extra level of nesting here that seems kind of funny. But that's, I think, is that just JSON schema?
That's it's common. That's JSON schema for any, a CSV basically becomes an array of arrays.
Right.
So yeah, what you're looking at the second nested items is basically a list view of what would be in one row. So say the first column would be time of type string, and the second column would be latitude of type number.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's maybe like I mean, that makes sense thinking about it. Maybe not directly clear to somebody how they should expect like a CSV file or some kind of spreadsheet to map to a JSON schema. I mean, that's not an atypical mapping, so it doesn't seem crazy. It's like JSON schema makes a lot of sense if I'm working with a JSON blob or array of JSON objects, and less obvious because it's not a table format.
I think where we're going to be heading with that is that the schema view will become a graphical editor, which will be, if you have two-dimensional tabular data, you're going to have a much simpler way of saying like this column is, this type and has these bounds and sort of all these other little things you can choose, but it'll be not looking at a JSON object. And then if you have, complex JSON, deeply nested JSON object, then all we can do is show you also equally complex JSON schema object, and then you're kind of an advanced user. But if most people are using tabular two-dimensional data sets, we can probably have a simpler UI under schema that can help people actually hone that in without knowing what JSON schema even is.
I would like to be able to do that, but this will probably be a problem.
I would like that too, but that's not a formal type there, sir.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing in JSON.
I would like to have some way to sort of define some useful types that you would typically see.
So we can actually do that with like regex, right? Like, is that a thing people do in JSON? Is like this needs to be like, it's not a date field; it's just a string field that has a very specific.
There's actually in JSON schema there's a date stamp thing, and it is ISO 8601. So we can get that specific thing that you're talking about, Rob. You can also do like really you have the full JSON schema open, and Query actually does apply it. So.
I was really just much more curious about whether this was going to tell me anything about how bullshit what I put in was.
That's really interesting. So if you jump into your meta file right now, this is like a fun getting a little bit at what you're talking about, and like just make it invalid somehow, like delete a comma. Oh, good job.
Okay.
You have to save, and then
I did.
Okay, cool. This will be interesting to see if the refresh is working.
Do we want to see what happens in the app? Or okay.
Yeah. So
okay, I caught that at least.
That might be interesting. It might be that polling isn't working when you don't have a history. That might be what's going on. But yeah, if you save now and then go back to the app.
Takes about 10 seconds, but
should be, yeah, try adding like any valid thing, like maybe add another keyword if you don't mind. Yeah, so there it is. So that's picking it up now. Yeah, I think the error is just we're not doing status properly if you don't have an initial commit.
Well, the keyword's not showing up.
Oh yeah.
It's validating, but it's not necessarily pulling.
Oh, interesting. Stuff. Yeah. Yeah, this strikes me as something that has been broken recently. That's quite a while. Quite a while to wait. I think the polling in dev mode is slower. Is that correct, Chris? No,
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So once it revalidated, it didn't pick up the new data either, though.
Interesting.
So there's something stuck or cached or something somewhere.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we'll take
I wonder. Can I see communication with Query Connect through the network tab? Okay, so there's status
Sorry.
that happens there.
Yeah. So this isn't polling right now. Do you mind doing me a favor, Rob?
Yeah.
Quit this and launch the Qri Desktop binary that I fired over to you.
Okay. Okay.
Because like that, you should be seeing the pings of the continuous polling there. I'm just interested to see if the thing that we compiled and sent you is doing the polling.
Well, it was. Oh, geez. It was pinging. I did see the pings there for file status. It just didn't include information about content.
Yeah, that's actually what we expect. We're expecting M time changes. Oh, so maybe, Okay, so then you're gonna have to pick your new data set. Okay.
Okay, and that picked it up much more quickly.
Yeah.
Might have just been lucky on the timing.
Yeah. So you're lucky on the timing. Yeah.
Because it's pulling.
It's exactly. Yeah, it's polling. I think it's every 2.5 seconds. But okay, a couple things we've learned. I think the polling. I think we have to check and investigate the when we don't have a commit. But it seems like we're missing some polling or something in configuration of our dev is a little not as great on dev mode. But yeah, like if you look now at the history and your body, see if this was a little snappier for you. I just love to check the table, and then that'll be the last thing I'll bother you about.
Oh, well, good look at it.
I guess that's kind of small. Yeah, your park will be a little bigger. Oh, you're in ghost mode. You found the software gore. We don't know what causes this. If you flip the status in history, it should get you in, yeah. Is that table a little more snappy for you?
It's really working hard there.
Yeah.
No, I think the refactor last week of our API calls and stuff resulted in some of this. I'm seeing it too on master machine right now.
Out of curiosity, is there a reason you're using file system polling instead of any of the system, like kernel queues or file system events?
That's where we intend to go.
Okay.
Very much intending to do file system events. For now, we're just doing M-time polling. It's the fastest way to get something out the door, but very much planning on refactoring that and taking away polling between desktop and connect so that it's just like a WebSocket that tells you something changed. Yeah, in due time. Amazing. This has been super helpful. Thank you so much for driving our new toy. I'm delighted at how that it broke, but like not in so many ways. And so not in ways that feel dangerous. Kevin, on the other hand, had a way less fun time.
Oh, no, that's fine.
So we'll have to figure out what's going on in your universe, Kevin.
I'll have to like I said, the last time I installed Qri was ages ago. I'm sure everything's different. Yeah. So I need to just update it and just see if I just get it working.
Yeah, those .query folders and that .ipfs folder, those are the two that are, if you have to have, don't delete the IPFS folder unless you know that there's only query data there. If you have IPFS stuff in there.
No, I can just delete it. Yeah.
We do have a tool to clean all of the query stuff out of an IPFS repository, but it's it's a little irritating to run right now.
Yeah.
Rob, thoughts?
Obviously, there's all kinds of bugs all over the place here and there. That UI flow mostly feels good. I mean, I think we mentioned a couple things. I think that whole flow of like, well, I guess, okay. Now I'm confused because I'm looking at a different version. Yeah, adding a data set and new data set now that I'm like looking at this with somewhat fresh eyes. So I was a little bit confused at first because you were telling me to Command D, and I went and found that in the menu bar. But it was useful to realize that it's also there. If I click on the current data set, I can either add or create new. I don't. It's also like, I don't know if I can comment on it really well because it detected that I already had a repo, and so it sort of just jumped somewhere rather than like presenting me with something. So like I didn't get quite the new user experience of what would have like asked me to add something or go find something or whatever. Yeah, sorry, that was a lot of blah, blah, blah.
No, that's actually really helpful. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying before, like with fresh eyes, I'm realizing like add and new is a little bit confusing because add isn't like super clear that I'm like pulling in some other pre-existing data set that's already like in query, and I'm adding it to my query repo. I'm not sure like what the right language is there, but I guess just with like slightly fresher eyes, I'm like, oh, we've been using that language all along, and I'm add, new, add. What's the difference between those things? So it might be, I don't know, like some variation on like pull or like search for data set or something else like that connotes it's a pre-existing thing in query that I'm going and getting. Like get. Pull is confusing. Get language is probably not the greatest language.
Yeah, this has been really tough. Everybody at Qri has been very much in agreement that add needs to go away. We just don't know what to call it. Download, like cross load. Like,
download is not actually bad,
right? Yeah,
could be
download
follow. Follow also sort of makes sense.
Yeah, we want to say follow
like,
for.
I want my repo to track this other thing.
Yeah, I think we want to say follow for that, either that exact mechanism or something else. But we've all agreed that follow is a reserved word for future features. But yeah, pull something. Yeah.
Yeah. It might also be like retrieve or find or something else along those lines. Retrieve, find, get, grab.
Yeah. Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit, Kevin, based on what you were seeing, do you feel like part of what we're trying to work towards is like, I'm using the Sierra Club as the like example, like, do you think it'd be possible for us to say, hey, download query and then download this data set using query, and it will automatically link to your file system and give you a CSV file that you can look at? Do you think that we're on that path? Are we headed in the right direction for that? Does that feel like a reasonable use case for this?
Actually, I was just going to ask about Query Cloud because that seems like the easiest thing for a person with no tech. Because I'm looking at it now, I'm like, okay, here's the data sets and I can download it. And I feel like for them, that's like the most. But I don't know what Query Cloud is. What is Query Cloud?
What is it? So Query Cloud is the hub to GitHub. And so like when you push, how you push to GitHub, you have this like place that you can just get code from. Very similar. We're going to run into some challenges with like, maybe we will, maybe we won't. We're debating this internally in a public call about whether or not what that download button should do. Because right now it does nothing. And because yeah, agreed. Just sending somebody to query.cloud/deerpark or /b5/deerpark, but ideally /edgy/deerpark, and then hitting a download button. Do you think it's too painful to just like download the app and have them do that? Like,
it was for me because it didn't work.
Yep. Well, that's a simple answer. Yeah.
And I don't know how to recover from it.
Yeah.
Starting from scratch and then like going to GitHub and like building from master, because that's what Rob had to do, and like all this other stuff. I really want to. I need to like. I keep on saying this. I really do need to like clean up my system and see if I can just like get it running. Because I think there's conflicts as what's happening, or I don't know. I'm not sure. I like the idea. I think it'd be great, but again, like seeing how Rob has to like edit the file in a separate thing, but that sounds like that's something you guys are going to address, like actual editing in the UI. Having that context change is not. I don't feel that's also very friendly. Yeah.
Deeply agree. Deeply agree. Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry, did you have more stuff, Kevin? Okay. So I was just trying to rerun the latest, since that UI experience is a little bit different from the one you had us download. So I was trying to catch myself up on what happens when you pull a new data set. Because the other thing I think is a little bit confusing is, like if I just pull down a data set, so like I added B5/Texas TCEQ Deer Park. I get like a status that says this is unlinked, and like a bunch of grayed out stuff. And so like that's a little bit of a confusing place to start. Like I think if I pull down that data set, I want to like see a little bit more about what it is that I have there, rather than have it be like a control panel for mirroring what I have done or not done on disk somewhere.
Totally.
Like I feel like that is possibly a little bit of a confusing place to start. And maybe that's less true if the place everybody should be starting is Qri Cloud. Like I'm not sure the degree to which you want to enforce sort of a difference between what Qri Desktop is doing, is being like a UI around like the Qri command line client, versus Qri Cloud as being like the GitHub equivalent, where you're like browsing through stuff and seeing what's going on, or if those should both be put together. So it's a little bit fuzzy. I see how all this makes sense in the idea of it's mirroring like what I would do with Git, but from the perspective of like that same division in Git is what makes like Git clients in GitHub super hard for a lot. Well, I mean, it's not the thing, but it's one of the things that makes it super hard for people. And if the question is like, will the Sierra Club folks be able to deal with this easily? Like it feels like what I get when I like add that data set is like a place where I'm like, okay, what do I do with this effectively like blank screen where all the buttons are grayed out, except for link this data set, which is also semi-confusing from a point of like, well, I already added it. Now I also have to add it
to
disk.
Add it, then add it again, obviously. This is just add it, then link it, right?
Also, like now I'm looking at the dataset dialog, which we did not go through. And so that asked me, well, so it's got a field that I think I can't edit it. Confusing which fields I can and can't edit, because in another place, so it has like a gray background for whatever has focus, and that is the same color. It's not a different color for when it's disabled. So I had thought before that it was gray because it was disabled, because I didn't actually edit more than one of the fields.
Totally.
So I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm looking at the screen, and I have dataset directory and save path for link, which also seems confusing because I'm not sure what either of those things are supposed to, like, it seems like I should be picking the directory that I'm checking it out into.
Yep. And like, this question of like, is it making a new directory? And we have a lot of, we've obviously been struggling with that, like do you pick the folder that makes the folder that you put the folder into, or do you pick the folder that the files go into? And that's been the question that we've been sort of struggling with.
So what am I choosing with
So
save?
those two fields, one of them is with save.
I see. So save path is the parent directory, and the dataset directory is the. So it's asking me to set up a system wherein I have a place that I've checked out all my query datasets, that's also maybe a big conceptual jump that you've assumed people want to do, and it might not be.
Yeah, very much so. And that's been a big, that's how we've been using it internally and haven't really now showing it to other people. That's been one of the first things that's jumped out is like, did everybody use a datasets folder?
Yeah, because I can imagine, again, like if I'm a Sierra Club folks, I probably have a project folder around all this like Deer Park stuff. And so I would want to check this out into like a subdirectory in there rather than like have my Deer Park stuff organized here and then like some other place where there are all the different data sets for all the different projects I'm doing anything with.
Totally agreed.
I don't know why we want those in two separate worlds, or I probably would want those in two separate worlds.
Yeah, and like conceptually it's fine. Like there's nothing that, but you're right, that's sort of what the UI is kind of gesturing you towards, but it's not, it won't hurt anything to put stuff all over the place. Yeah, it's just how do we make that obvious and sort of get your head around.
It might also be useful if like part of adding a data set is determining like where I'm putting it on disk.
That's the thing we went with new. Yeah, Kevin's agreeing.
Yeah.
So we just said forget it. All data sets, whenever you create any data sets, always linked. So I think whenever you add data sets, linked, and like it's a special checkbox to be like create an unlinked data set. That feels right. Because like the idea that you add then link is silly.
Yeah, I think actually it might. It's tough because from the perspective of this comes back to the language again, like from the command line client where you expect to use concise technical terms, like link makes a lot of sense for what's happening. But it feels like that is probably not descriptive enough for.
Yeah. Our hope for the desktop is you're never really working with unlinked data sets unless you are basically a command line user who is occasionally using desktop. And so like our theory is that most people will never see unlinked data sets. And so we need to get into that situation. Add has been the last thing to join the party. And so it needs the most work. We haven't even filed the issues around add should always link, but that's very much the hope. I think I just really quickly want to get some feedback on, I think on this download button from Query Cloud, and specifically thinking about these people who like, because conceptually, I think there's a really interesting lesson from today that's shown up here that through that whole conversation, we were talking about add and like adding a data set, but the intention behind Query Desktop is it's very much your workbench for crafting new data set versions. That's kind of been the reason that we've built Desktop to be what it is. It's cool. I'm going to edit metadata. I'm going to check the status of my current files. I'm going to make sure that my data set validates. I'm going to look at diffs, and I'm going to hit commit, and I'm going to hit publish. And this is going to be the way that people create data sets. It may not be true that people that someone who just wants to download a CSV file like needs this whole experience. And how does that ring to you, Kevin? Like Kevin, to reframe that as a question that might be more answerable. What is your expectation of that download button on Query Cloud? And what would you like to see in an ideal world?
I think because Query has all this other metadata that comes with it, so I don't know if it's like 2 download buttons or an option, but one would just be the data, the CSV file, but the other would be like, can I get like that metadata thing in the schema, like in a zip or whatever it is? That would be the only expectation. So the data in and of itself, or like a zip of all the metadata around it.
That's super helpful. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking like I totally agree with like splitting that button in half and have the default of that button be maybe, I think it downloads a folder, but it includes like a PDF. It's like, here's your data set, here's its metadata. This is the version that you downloaded it at, and here's the CSV, the actual data. And then the other half of that button is download this to Query Desktop. And that's a application link that when you click it, it opens Qri Desktop if you have it downloaded. And if you don't, then it gestures you, hey, you should download this app.
Okay. Oh, that's kind of like one of the ideas.
One of the,
yeah, that's really interesting.
one of the two options, but I think the default option, if I'm hearing you correctly, should just be, just give me the data. Like,
yeah.
Don't. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool. Guys, this has been super helpful. We're 10 minutes over an hour, and this is, I don't want to take up more of your time. Thank you so much, so much for playing this today. Like, all of us have just taken 50,000 notes internally, so it's really helpful. But if you want to mess around with stuff, some stuff are up. The publish button should be working. But honestly, ideally, publish things that you actually want to publish. And then, Kevin, if you don't mind, I'd love to set aside some time to like fix your machine, so you and I can just sit down and like get you back to baseline.
Yeah.
At some point, it'd be great to just make sure that get you into a working state. Because you guys coming here and helping us with this feedback is just like, thank you so much. It's so helpful. I can't tell you how much this is like very much guiding our work.
Cool.
But yeah, with that, I want to save some time because we have a archiving call in 50 minutes. But yeah, or maybe at least I know that Kevin and I do. Rob, I don't know if you're joking, but yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. This is really appreciated. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We owe you.